Thank you so much for attending. We are doing the Benefit Counselor Training Call for Pacific Protection Services. On the phone with me right now is broker Amy. Amy's going to help answer some questions regarding this core and colonial enrollment for our call center team. Amy, I'm going to actually first give the floor to you if you want to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your agency and about the account. And then I do have some questions that the benefit counselors have already emailed to me that I'm going to bring up so you can answer and be on this recorded call.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for putting the time in to work on this account. This is the second year that we've used the call center to handle enrollment. This is a really challenging group because they are a company that has a headquarters location in Woodland Hills, California, but their employees are scattered all over the state. They have a significant increase in the number of eligible employees from about 150 last year to 250 this year. And with Affordable Care Act requirements for offering coverage and reporting the offering of coverage, it's really important that we have an effective means of educating these employees about the benefits that are available to them, getting their questions answered, and getting them enrolled. As a private security company, these are not employees that traditionally have experience working for an organization that has sit-down open enrollment meetings, provides a lot of benefits to them. So they have maybe less sophistication or less familiarity with the benefits world than other companies I'm used to working with and that you may be used to working with. So the service that you provide to me, to the company, to the employees is really important, and we appreciate it greatly. Ronnie's done an amazing job of collecting all the details from me in terms of the benefits that are being offered, the contribution strategy. Effectively, the same plans are being offered that were first offered to the group last year through the call center. So from a plan perspective, things aren't changing much, although the carriers make little tweaks to the plans every year. And Ronnie's got the information on the out-of-network deductible changes and the out-of-pocket max changes on these plans, which is pretty standard in the industry right now. But in terms of the 3 HMOs and the PPO that are being offered through Anthem, and then the dental and the vision plans, they're the same as what the group had last year. The contribution strategy did change a little bit, and it's favorable to the employees, and it is probably something the employees are not going to realize until they're on the phone with you. So the bigger the deal you can make out of it, the better. The group was paying 50% of a base plan last year, and this year they're paying 50% of any plan. So 50% of any one of the 3 HMOs and even 50% of the PPO, which is quite a bit more expensive than the HMOs. That means that employees who bought up to a higher level plan last year and were only having 50% of the base HMO plan applied to their premium are now going to get a bigger employer contribution because the employer will pay 50% of what used to be a buy-up plan. So the employee payroll deductions will, in some cases, go down, even though overall the group's premium has gone up. They did have an increase, but overall it wasn't too significant an increase. So that is something that some employees will find out when they're on the phone with you and they see their final calculations, and they should be pretty darn happy about that. I say the group, I say the employees may not know until they're on the phone with you because the group struggles a lot with employee communication, and they don't have a great system for blasting out consistent information to everyone at the group. So getting them to call in is a work that we need to do to make your job easy. But a lot of this information about their benefits they'll be finding out from the first time from you. So what you're doing, again, is super important. Ryan,
Amy,
what question can I answer? Yeah.
One of the things that actually ties into what you just said is what happens if they don't call in? If they already have benefits, does it roll over? And if they don't have benefits, what happens at that point?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge because given that they're out of our hands and out of our sight, it's really hard for us to poke them to make them do what we want them to do, as I'm sure you guys understand. If they're already enrolled in a plan, we will roll their participation over. So we're not going to delete them from a plan if they don't call in. If they are not enrolled already, the only option for enrolling is to call in through the call center. So we're not sending kits out. We're not providing applications by email. They have to call into the call center to get enrolled. And the group is pretty good about communicating this point as best they can. The fact that we need people to authorize waivers to protect the group from ACA penalties is something the group understands really, really well. And the fact that the company provides employer-paid life insurance and that they need beneficiary information before they'll enroll someone in the life insurance is another tool that we can use to motivate people to call in. So the group goes as far as having their dispatchers, because I mentioned their private security, having their dispatchers make outbound calls to the employees to remind them to call in during open enrollment. So we're doing everything we can. It's challenging, but we did take our bumps and bruises last year, and you guys still did a great job for us. So things like having the dispatchers call out will encourage people to call in. So we'll be giving them the message that they have to.
Righty, and another question came up, and I think the answer was no last time we spoke, is do they have benefit booklets?
They do not have benefit booklets. They have ADP as a payroll service, and ADP has an employee self-serve portal where all of their benefit information will be posted. So the summaries of all of the plans, helpful forms, how to find a provider, prescription, mail order service, all that stuff is going to be posted on the employee self-serve website with ADP, and you can feel free to refer employees to that, not with any more information than just saying, you know, that information is available to you on the employee portal on ADP, and the group will the group can provide them information on how to access that.
All righty, and domestic partners?
Oh, good question. They're required to offer coverage to domestic partners. So domestic partners are covered.
Okay, that's what I thought. Also, I know that we are still needing plan descriptions for the dental PPO and the vision. Is that something you're going to be able to get?
Gosh, I've been working on that like a maniac, as you know, Ronnie. You guys know the carriers are so overwhelmed right now with incoming requests and processing, and they will be for the next couple of months. So I will be sending you, Ronnie, I'll do this when we get off the phone, last year's plan descriptions for the PPO dental and the vision so that you have them. They haven't changed. But I still prefer to have the most recent document from the carrier in hand. But in the absence of having them send that to us, I will send you last year's, so at least you still have the summaries. But I won't rest until I get this year's.
Awesome. And also, and I was confused about this, and so was one of the other benefit counselors. You had already sent me the plan descriptions on the 3 HMOs and the PPOs for the health, but 2 of them, because it was kind of like LP2131 on the, we couldn't figure out the difference between the select and the traditional, because 2 of them kind of said select on there. And if you can maybe send me something to confirm that I can email over to the benefit counselors which one of those, you know, plan descriptions belongs to which plan.
Sure. So I did send you an email a little bit earlier with a little table that hopefully breaks it down and makes a little bit more sense of it. But real quickly, I can go over it for all the counselors. So it looks a little wacky. You have to wrap your head around it. The group offers 3 HMO plans and a PPO plan. But the 3 HMO plans are all exactly the same plan design, which is a little bit unusual. So it's an HMO with a $5,900 deductible, and all 3 versions of the HMO are exactly the same in terms of benefits. What varies is the network of doctors that are available under each version of the HMO. So the cheapest HMO is the most restrictive network, and then the other 2 HMOs have a more expanded network. And that's important because the cheapest HMO network only really covers Los Angeles County. But since this group has employees all over California with a concentration of them up in the Bay Area, we had to offer a broader network to those people so that they had doctors that were closer to home. So the cheapest
Amy, which
plan,
one was that?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, so
was the restricted?
The cheapest plan is called the Priority Select Network, and that's also the EQ plan.
EQ,
So all of that is in the name. Yeah, Priority Select EQ 5900 plan. That's the most restricted network. Then there's the Select Network. So that network gets a little bit broader.
And is that for both South and North, or is that more dedicated to Southern Los Angeles or Northern, or it doesn't matter?
It's still more Southern Los Angeles, but outside of LA County. And then there's what's referred to. It's a couple different phrases. So hang on, and I'll try and I'll pull up the email I sent you. It is the traditional network, or the California Care Network. That's the broadest network.
Okay. And that would be good for North or South?
That would be good for both, right. One of the things we haven't figured out a good strategy on, and I will fully admit that this is a challenge, is that ideally someone who lives in the most restricted network area should be on the cheapest plan. There's no reason for them to be on the traditional network plan if they live in the Priority Select area, because that would be essentially a waste of money. They'd be paying for a broader network that they don't need. But being able to identify which employee lives by zip code in which area is something I can't do without a tool from Anthem that really shows by zip code which network people would.
Hello? Amy? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording because I think we just lost Amy. As you obviously can tell, we did lose Amy. I was hoping I would just stop the recording and she'd call back in and I would start the recording again. But since she hasn't, Amy, are you back?
I'm back.
Oh, yay. I just unstopped the recording to finish talking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send an email out because now I'm able, by the information just provided, I can figure out which plan description goes with which plan. And what Andrea Tiers, the coordinator, did last year is she separated out classifications by North, South, and North Union. So what I'm going to do is I am going to update the guidelines or just send an amendment to the guidelines for the benefit counselors to give them an idea, because some of these benefit counselors are not in California, so they don't know the area as well as we do. But at least leaning them towards, okay, just asking the employee, are you in Southern California or are you in Northern California? And then if you're in Southern California, are you in LA? So if they're in Southern California and in LA, in Los Angeles, then they can go for that cheaper plan. If they're just in Southern California outside that Los Angeles, county area, then they should go with the Select. And if they're in the Northern Los Angeles area, they should go with the Traditional. And I can also even set the database to only show and benefit counselors, I'll probably do this anyway. I'll probably set the database to show only the benefit that should apply to that particular employee. Amy, the one thing I wanted to also confirm, Andrea wrote North Union. Are all the union employees in Northern California?
All the union employees are in Northern California, but not all Northern California employees are union, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. So we'll have both. Okay, so that's why she did it that way. So for the union employees, it says North Union, but it should just say a union. Then for them, the best two programs would be the PPO and the Traditional, since they're in Northern California. So I will go ahead and I'll write all this information down so the benefit counselors have that. Let me see if there's any other questions. A question came up regarding the passwords. So since we're doing call center, that's not going to apply, so you guys don't have to worry about the lack of passwords or that employer a unique password that I had in my guidelines since you're doing call center. And another one came up regarding new hires. Now, obviously, we did not get a census this year, or at least not one that was usable. There was no point in overriding the good information we already had in the system from last year, but there's been a lot of new hires. So if they're already in the system, it might already say what their classification is, if it's South North or Union North. If it's a new employee, you know, you're going to have to go ahead and manually input them. Just check the guidelines to verify eligibility, because the eligibility does change depending on if you're talking about the core, the colonial, or even the employer-paid life insurance. Because if I remember correctly, it's a longer waiting period for the life insurance versus the core.
Right.
That should be all in the guidelines, but I just wanted to do special note. And the colonial has the, I want to say, 12-month waiting periods because it's a special market one. I think that might be it. Is there anything else, Amy, you would like to add, or any information you think they need to know that might be helpful when they're on the phone with the employees? Again, we apologize for not having an updated census and that you guys are going to have to manually input. I guess the best thing is just to check that hire date out when they're hired, so you know when they're eligible. Also ask where are they located, northern, southern, and if they're union, and then select the correct classification, and I will set up the database so only the appropriate plans show up for that particular class.
Beautiful. And then keep in mind that even if they want to keep the same plan they had, let's assume they bought up to one of the broader network HMOs last year, even if they want to keep that same plan, their deduction may be going down because the group is now paying for 50% of any plan as opposed to just 50% of the lowest cost plan. So reviewing deductions, I know you guys do a good job of that, and you get their sign off and you send them an enrollment sheet. But reviewing deductions with them will be good, because in some cases you're going to have some nice news to deliver to them that they're saving a little bit of money.
Oh,
so
that's great. And for, by the way, unions, again, 100% for the employee portion.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we got everything answered. Amy, I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm going to stay on the phone with you in case you have any side questions for me. And then what I'll do is, you know, convert this so I can email it over to the benefit counselor so they'll have it first thing in the morning, and I'll send it to them with an amendment of any changes or additional information that we discussed on this recording. Everybody, thank you. And after you listen to the recording, if you still have further questions, please feel free to call me. My number is 208-922-1459. You'll have my email because I'll be emailing this to you. You can also reply with an email. And if it's a question that I don't know the answer to, Amy, I'll be calling you.
No problem.
All right, I'm going to stop recording.